Greetings, everybody. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of Keepers of the Gauranlen Grove, which originally aired live on Twitch. Here is a brief overview of the ideology of the Keepers, and a link to this image can be found in the description of the video. Before I get going, I also want to tell you that this entire series was based upon viewer feedback. If you wish to provide feedback for future series, please consider joining Discord. The link again can be found in the description of the video. Let's get started. The poll results were pretty overwhelming that people wanted me to be tribal and have a strong connection to the Gauranlen, with tree connection and transhumanist, the strongest of the two suggestions, with proselytizer and collectivist as the sort of runner-ups. Actually, collectivism was pretty strong as well, I should say. So this is our series. We will have a strong tree connection, and we will focus on dryads. But as transhumanists, we will also try to better ourselves with architect parts, bionics, and use the biosculpting and sleep accelerators. Hopefully attaining sort of the immortal druid status. What else is there to say? The starting characters. Yes, everybody always wants to know that. So we have Brunona Bodmal, super immune bloodlust jogger. She really is the killer of the group. She's 51 years old, and she has no relationships. Adriel here is a hypersensitive bloodlust hardworker. So she has a burning passion in shooting and a passion in construction and cooking. Then we have Adriel. Adriel is a hypersensitive bloodlust hard worker. Burning passions in animals and plants, and minor passions in a bunch of others. Then we have Aoife. Aoife is a pretty, kind, fast learner with social and intellectual mining as well. Taliesin, body modder, teetotaler. Another thing to note here, actually, let me put this screen up real quick. So we have some additional rules, as you can see on the right. We are not going to allow body purists because, of course, we are transhumanist. We aren't going to allow pyromaniacs because we have a connection to trees. We will not allow slow learner because, again, transhumanism and our, desire for knowledge. And we won't allow lazy or slothful, as that goes against our collectivism, that people should serve their community. We aren't going to accept royal honor, and then our alignment is chaotic neutral. Neutral on the spectrum of good and evil, neutral being that we basically make decisions for ourselves not swayed for charity and not, leaning towards raiding or violence. And then chaotic, which would be freedom and flexibility. All right, back to the characters here. And last, Oriana. Oriana is our medic of sorts. Sanguine, quick sleeper, great memory, plants, and medical. We are here on this planet, rendered, and we live in sort of the corner of a boreal forest. The factions around us are almost, again, all hostile. There is the gentle tribe that is not, and then everybody else kind of hates us. Oh, yes. And then, let's see. Here is the map tile. It is a 400 by 400, which is unusually large, but given the area that the anima and Gauranlen trees take up, I figured larger would be better. We have the anima tree here, and a lot of marshes around us. All right, well, let's get started. And thank you all for, so many bits. So many bits. I really appreciate it. Yoda and I both, if he would look up from his perch. Here he is. I'll put him on. So the first thing I want to do is to settle near the tree, right? Because we are going to be tree psycasters and Gauranlen connectors. So I also cannot cut down trees without a large penalty. commandeering this little infrastructure here is definitely going to be what I do initially. We're going to grab what clearing this has caused and use it as our own, slowly spreading out when the trees die off. Now, another rule that I guess I hadn't enforced is that we can't or won't purposefully kill plants. So one of the ways around the penalty of having to deal with trees is you have the opportunity, of course, to just sort of murder the plants by throwing Molotovs or whatnot, and you don't have to suffer the penalties of those actions. And this is not how we will play. We are going to play true to the Dryads and or Druids rather, well, both Dryads and Druids, and not knowingly, intentionally burn forests. Now, we, being wardens of a forest, know that natural fire burns happen, and sometimes they're necessary, but we aren't going to trigger them. All right, so I'm just going to get us caravanned because I'm not starting anywhere remotely close to the center of the map. So let's see here. I'm going to slap down a stockpile zone. I'm just going to put it here for now. Get back to our starters. I'm trying to get all of this done in one trip. As you can see, these guys are a little fussy. Come on. There we go. Nope, you haul that. We're collectivists after all. Everyone does their share. So it'll be interesting to try to mesh together transhumanism and the cybernetics with psycasting and Gauranlen tree keeping. But I'm very hopeful that we will strike a balance. Welcome, everybody. Yoda welcomes you all. Hope you all have a wonderful day today. And I'm glad that you're here hanging out with me. I do have a suggestion box that honestly actually should be... Okay, it is paused. Good. I have a suggestion box for later once we have a basic startup. Is the rules about disabled work types due to traits? No. You can have all works disabled, even firefighting, as long as it doesn't originate from pyromania. So let's go through the works here. I'm going to do manual priorities. We have one doctor, a warden, a chief animal handler, a cook, the hunter. Who's our other hunter? Tailson? No, Adriel. Probably, yes. Well, both of them. I'll put them on 3. Most people can construct, and that is going to be required early on. We have our miner, grow, and Smith, Taylor, Craft. No one really doing art. First things first, I would like to redesign this little infrastructure to benefit what I want to lay out. So let's see. I'm going to have to source a lot of metal. The reason for that is wood is going to be very, very hard to come by, except for, of course, trade or dryads. That will be explained later. Because cutting down trees is, it's really, really deeply frowned upon. It's not strictly forbidden. We're allowed to do it, but there's penalties. So if you take a look at our needs here, we get benefits from being in a rich forest surrounded by trees. We are, as you can see, very bigoted, intensely bigoted, and very proselytizing, which means that we have a uniformity of thought. Essentially, if there are community members that believe in other things other than what we believe in, it will upset us greatly. We're wearing our robes and hoods, like the druids that we are, and this healthy trees is a result of the desire for trees. And if you cut just even one tree down in a season, it will be in -1. And then as you cut additional trees, it can climb up to a -25, which is quite the penalty. So it is important for us to leave trees alone as best we can. I'm also going to set up some meditation spots around the anima tree because I think we are definitely going to be anima casters. We are tribal after all. There's going to be another requirement where everybody that joins us has to also be tribal, which will severely restrict our recruiting. But I might loosen that. That's not a hard rule. It really depends on our ability to add others. All right, let's see here. This is 7 and 7. Okay. I am going to break down a whole bunch of these walls and redesign this area to fit my needs using some of the concrete floor that we have. And everybody that has gotten here is going to be removed from the caravan so that they could get work done. So first things first, we should expect Aoife here to head to mine the compacted steel, and that is exactly what she's doing. Let's see. Bernona will be helping to construct. Adriel will be helping to construct. Aoife will be mining. Tilson will be constructing. And Oriana, you need something specific, unique to you. So I am going to have you try to plant some crop here. The caveat, of course, being that we can't cut down trees, which adds considerable complexity. So the crops I'm going to put in this fertile zone here are going to be specific high fertility crops like rice. But then let's also turn off the overlay, and we'll have to shrink the zone to where all the trees are. As you can see, this is going to get mightily complex, where we have to weave around. And I would say, actually, forget everything but this southern edge of the zone, because it seems to me that everything else is going to be really tricky to get planted. Hey, buddy. Now, if there's ever a naturally occurring forest fire, I can move quickly and swiftly to reclaim swaths of land that was otherwise locked to me. And then once she has that area planted, I am going to put down some additional crops. So this area here to the north seems rather open and easy to commandeer. All I have to do is paint around the trees like this, and then turn off allow cutting so that we don't cut down trees that are adjacent to our crops. And let's do that for the original zone too. And this here will be for potatoes. And then I'm also going to want zones for a variety of other crops as well. Over here, I will put cotton, but I'm not going to allow sowing just yet because food is going to be the higher priority. And then I'll also have a growing zone just west of it where we'll put Psychoid, because we do start with Psychoid brewing as tribal, so we'll be able to brew some Psychoid. Drugs are allowable, not required, not not tolerated. They're allowable here. And again, I'll disallow sowing and cutting. Power Troll, you're actually incorrect about that. That would be true if you had the allow cutting zone on, but if your allow cutting zone is off, you can grow around it, as I'm sure you will see in a minute. All right, so I'm going to try to have the back wall of this be as much granite as I can. And now we're mining. We have our basic tools. Now, one thing to note is we don't have a weapon preference. We do have venerated animals and, a certain amount of allowable tattoos and hairs and the like. Missed a tree in the cotton field bottom right? Yes, I did. Okay, we are going to then continue. Let's leave these walls intact. Continue these walls in. Maybe I'll even make it taller. Nah, that's fine for now. This is just a starting building. and then as we develop, we'll grow bigger. I'm gonna put a wooden door here, even though wood is a very rare resource, because wooden doors open the fastest, and I don't want to be stuck. Actually, no, scratch that. Let's have this be a granite door with a wooden airlock. That'll be a lot more secure. And then around this wooden airlock, so that forest fires cannot easily spread, I will roof as much as I can to keep the door from being burned. Alright, Aoife here. Oh, a roof collapse already. Come on now. There goes an eye. Alright, let's see. Oriana, you are the medic. Tend to yourself. You were standing under a roof. I don't really even see how that collapsed that fast, but that's fine. Slaves would not be able to chop wood. No. Any disturbance to the forest done by our colony counts against the penalties there. And again, that would violate our rules anyway. As we're not supposed to purposefully damage or kill trees. I'm not sure how much material I'll have left for this, but we'll see. We're going to bring the walls in like this. I want it as symmetrical as I possibly can, given the terrain constraints. Man, these caribou are definitely going to get themselves killed. They are making a ruckus. All right, let's put down some recreation. And see how far we can stretch the granite. Could we buy wood from traders? Yes. We didn't kill the trees. We just can't destroy trees. Essentially, there's nothing I'm going to do to circumnavigate the trees desired. So we desire trees on this map tile. If we raid a lumber camp and take their lumber, that's fine. We aren't going to be removing trees from this map tile purposefully, but if it happens by someone else's hand and we purchase the trees, we're also pragmatic, right? Like, I'm not going to not buy wood or not raid lumber camps if we need lumber. We're just not going to kill trees on purpose. So, a important distinction, but one that needs to be made. We're going to need to get a butcher table out. Put that there. And a field stove. Field stove is going to be rough to fuel after a short period of time because of the demand for wood. And now you build that. Let's get the rest of the walls up. We have other granite structures, obviously. We have granite walls up here that we could commandeer. And sandstone, slate. I'm not going to travel too far across the map, so that's what's locally available. We won't be able to build or grow cacti because cacti is a arid or desert only. The restriction for trees is specific to biome. So if we take a look at the growing zone here, cactus is not one of them. That's how RimWorld has always worked. Why is this door still open? Oh, there it goes. It was like stuck. Interesting. All right, let's set up a simple meal for 8, made by meat only, and queue up a bit of a kitchen area here. Foods, and foods will be raw food. That is not animal products, and simple meals. This will be preferred. This will be low. All right, so we're starting to grab, looks like we're gonna need a bit more granite, but we're starting to grab steel from the other zone. So then we're also going to want to get production up pretty soon, I'd imagine. I'm gonna put production or research bench there. And let's get some steel walls. I can go about this far until I violate the radius of the anima tree. And they've changed it now that grass growth progress slows when you build within the radius. So it's important not to do that. All right. Thanks, Aoife. You're doing a wonderful job. What is my plan for future bases? Well, you can always go into mountains because the terrain underneath stuff that you would mine out is going to be stone and thereby not allowable for trees. So we have this huge stony outcrop here, which would allow for quite a large structure. And then we can also, what we can do is we can annex slowly. So one thing to do is just to build a lot of roof around your base where you prevent future tree growth, because of course all plants require sunlight. And then when the trees naturally die, because trees do have a lifespan and they will eventually die on their own, you can just grow into that spot. It adds considerable complexity, no doubt, but it is totally viable as well. Give puppies a treat. Here you go. Celian, thanks for the bits. Let me try to go through the log here. Chaotic Bananas, thanks for the follow. Arclight for the resub. R Davey for a is that a subscription in advance? Well, thank you. And Jamney, Hawthorne, Shield, Jazium, Camasia, Master Cetate, Matt, Glitch, Tooth, Shield again, Glitch again, Silver. Thank you all. And thank you for Yoda Street. So we are going to then roof this up, and we will be roofing it up without a complete roof. We will have areas that are open for the trees. There's actually a benefit to having trees within your base because everybody wants trees around them. So having trees sort of implanted into your base in this way, you know, it comes with its own benefit, interestingly enough. What about you, Timmy? Did I miss you? I want to pet Yoda. Hey, buddy. How's it going? All right, those caribou on my short list of things to shoot. What about beavers and thrumbos? Well, beavers and thrumbos are obviously going to be enemies of our ideology because they try to, you know, eat trees. And being tree eaters, we obviously will not tolerate them. All right, so we have about a third progress for anima grass. Let me see. Now that we have a research bench, Aoife, I'm going to push you towards researching. And I'm going to have you all vote on the first research that I get. We have stone cutting as a possibility. The benefits of stone cutting, of course, is that we can't really construct with wood easily because we have a very limited supply, so that helps. Complex furniture for beds and the like. Complex clothing. That way we can fulfill the clothing desires of these specialty roles. And we could also do smithing if we want to start to better ourselves in terms of weaponry. So there you go. 4 simple choices. I'm not going to make the leap for electricity just yet. And I'll kick off with stone cutting. So the complete list of ideologies you could find with the !ideology command, and then the additional rules with !rules, but the rules are also included on the ideology link as well. And if we take a look at our probable only ally, the Gentle Tribe, they think meat is abhorrent. They think body modification is abhorrent. So we're really not going to get along all that well. But they do like the diversity of thought. So at least they will like the fact that we don't believe in what they believe in. And then the only other possible ally would be this proselytizing collectivist loyalist Shattered Empire, who's intensely bigoted against other ideologies. So it's going to be very, very tricky to get them to consider us allies at all. Another thing I wanted to do is reward preference. Let's not allow honor. And then I'm not even going to allow goodwill from the rough factions. I'm really not, well, no, I'm not even going to do it. We're really only looking to have one ally. Okay, stone cutting it is. We got that queued up. And here we go. As you can see, we can plant and sow crop around the trees like this. As long as we trim out the tree zones, we're good. I will, however, if I do want to commandeer bushes, I will have to trigger the bushes themselves to be cut out of the way, which is kind of important because bushes can develop into trees, and that all that serves is to reforest more. So we're going to have to be very careful about how we prune our farms. Now, I do hope that eventually we will reach a point where we have walled-in farms, you know, arboretums and groves that are protected in such a way that we don't then have to treat it so carefully. Let's definitely create fire breaks. So another reason to do this here, not just for area annexation, is to add a natural fire break, because not all our walls are fireproof. So fires can only hop a distance of 3. So if you create a fire break like this, you can keep fire from spreading within your walls. And Aoife is now researching. I'm going to turn off the automatic home zoning because I'm sure I don't want its settings. Actually, the home zones I have so far are fine, I guess. That keeps my farms safe. And what is everyone else working on? So they're just breaking down the granite walls. How do we feel about Nutrifungus? We don't. You really have to be a tunneler to want Nutrifungus. As you can see, it's gross, as is insect meat. We don't mind nutrient paste, however, because we are transhumanists, so that is something that's a little different. Could I please do a quick summary of the pawns? Sure. Bernona here is a bloodlust jogger, very good at shooting, so she's definitely one of our warriors. Adriel here is hypersensitive bloodlust hard worker, very good at plants, possible future grove keeper. Aoife here is our researcher with intellect, mining, and social, probably going to also be one of the community leaders. Pretty and kind, so people will tend to like her. Taliesin here is a body modding teetotaler, construction, crafting animals, so basically our chief crafter. And Oriana, last but not least, is sanguine, great memory, and quick sleeper with a very high skill in medical and other passions in plants as well. One of the things I plan on doing is having everyone use their own favorite color rather than have a pre-designated color for the ideology, because we do believe in the freedom of expression despite the fact that we are collectivists. We also are highly chaotic. That was also on the poll, so that's something that we will also address. Let's start to kill off caribou. Well, maybe there's actually easier game nearby that is a bit safer. My worry with the caribou is a herd mentality revenge. But I guess if I only send Brunona, let's only send Brunona. I think she, given her range and skill, could probably hunt them without vengeance. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then out here in near our butchery, I will name this butchery. Fresh only, animal corpses that are not insects preferred. And then butchering creatures, a very small radius that only includes the butchery, do forever, of non-insects as well. Will roofs distribute animatry? Disturb? Well, yes. You can't really have a roof without walls or pillars of some sort, and walls and pillars would disturb it. If there was a meteorite strike next to the animatry, where I was able to build roof off of the off the meteorite strike, like if somehow I could get natural stone to appear next to the tree, you could build roofs, but of course the tree can't be roofed itself. So Adriel, Taliesin, and Oriana, let's try to find tasks for you. You are highly... Why aren't you planting? All right, let's see about this. Allow sowing, allow sowing. There we go. All right, they all have tasks now. Good. If they do actually go idle, I can always set them up like Taliesin here. Is a crafter and constructor. He really doesn't have anything to do at the moment. So what I could do is I can quickly schedule him to just pray at the animatry instead. So we are planting... This here is potatoes. Here is cotton. This is psychoid. Looks like something died already, or I don't know. And then this over here, let's put heel root. And I am going to clear out these bushes for myself. You can fire break for the tree very easily, though. One of the ways to do a fire break would be for me to like flagstone around it. I would just have to be careful not to knock any trees in the process of flagstoning, but that's not all that hard if I am patient and I work over time. We're also transhumanists that believe in research, so fire foam is probably a clear requirement. Another thing to mention is that the animatry is fireproof. It's just the grass that isn't. Hey, Supercarta! Wow, it has been a while. I remember you in the Survive the Pantheon series, which is seems like ages ago. And yes, we will also get fire skip and things like that to protect ourselves, for sure. Another returning sub. Welcome back. And Diamond, cheers. Always like the coffee. Fire skip would be fun. Well, the new matting, the straw matting that they've introduced is basically fire skip. To be perfectly honest, with a Molotov and straw matting, you can be your own fire skipper. All right, getting things planted. Another thing I could plant is fibercorn. So I'm going to queue up a large region of fibercorn. Fibercorn is a sort of a husky corn-like substance that grows slowly and yields 1 wood per cut, which is a alternative method to Okay, there is a birch tree back there. It's an alternative method to grow your own... Yeah, don't do that, dude. To grow your own wood without growing your own wood. Kind of a hack, so to speak, but a necessary one for the tree huggers. No, stop cutting the trees. She had queued that up before I said no cutting. So the no cutting here means that they won't clear spaces for farming, which means they won't cut trees if they're not zoned. That's why I have to manually trigger the bushes to be cut. Some of the things here that I've left in place, like if I wanted to clean this up a bit, I would have to cut the grasses manually. Like, probably the easiest way is to queue up an area where you cut everything, you unselect the trees, and then you plant. Because there's a lot of wild grasses and lichen in here that prevent growth, as you can see. But we'll get better at converting things over to farmland with practice, I suppose. Sonder, thanks for the sub as well. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Because tall grasses and mosses and lichen, all that stuff counts. So, much like a Zen garden, we have to equally be cautious and careful about how we plant. Yes. Why is he marking things? Because of the no cutting that saves the tree? Indeed, exactly. All right, Brunona, you need a task. It's too bad that I can't say, hey, when you're idle, go pray at the tree. So we have just one grass, 1 1/4. All right, that looks cleaned up. Of course, this needs to be cleaned up. I do find a bit of like personal catharsis trimming grasses like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm meant to be a gardener or something. What is this plant back here? Grass. But this is also why these grow zones are so large, because I fully expect to have to fight nature in order to gain footholds for my own crop. And likewise, pretty much this whole area needs to be clear cut. Now, I'll do a better job in the future of clear cutting it. Like bubble wrap? Yeah, exactly. Like bubble wrap. Cillian, here we go. Hey Yoda, you ready to get fat? Maybe Tusk wants some too. Tuscany. I will also have to regularly check to find if any of the trees around my perimeter... Hey, girl. Coming up. If any of the trees around my perimeter have died off, allowing me to re-roof. So it looks like maybe there was never a tree there, I'm not sure. But if there was, I can now grab that myself. All right, so Aoife's researching. Unfortunately, she's getting rained on, but that's my only source of light. So if you take a look here, I also have a hole right above where she's researching, and I have a hole right above the butchery table, where I can use natural daylight instead of torches, because I do have a very limited amount of wood, and chances are I'm probably going to want to use the wood to build bows and the like, or you know, cook with, or, you know, other tasks like that, instead of using the wood to you know, illuminate. Would stray shoots killing a tree count for the mood debuff? Yeah, really any destruction of trees. So, well, no, that's not entirely true. You can cheese it. It is entirely possible if you want to play this way. I won't be. But if you want to play this way where you just throw a Molotov at a bunch of trees and walk away, it won't actually make you upset, because you're not directly responsible for the destruction of the tree. You're indirectly responsible. But with that said, that's not what we're doing. That's against our rules. So if you're trying to be a druid and you want to do it with the least effort possible, use a lot of Molotovs, because you can clear massive swaths out of trees and not really suffer anything. Now, if you do that, you're also not going to get the rich forest benefit, Because if you don't have a lot of trees around you, even if you weren't responsible for killing them, you will suffer a mood penalty anyway. So it's not a perfect solution, but it is a pretty effective one. Just, again, not how we're playing. And a flash storm. Luckily, it's not a dry thunderstorm. Okay. I think I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of farming that we're doing. I probably don't need to pay any more attention to it. This is a lot of crop that we can get yielded. And at this point, all I really need to worry about is having a source of food. So, Brenona. Where? Wow, there's not a lot of creatures here, are there? Those caribou are just like, I'm out of here. These druids are violent. They're good with their bows. Yeah, water skip would be very, very, very helpful. But we'll never have the rank required to trade with the Shattered Empire, because we aren't going for honor, and they will only trade with knights and dames or higher rank than that. Which means that if we are going to get water skip, it's going to have to be through tree focus or through questing. Either way is totally fine. Just let you know that it's not something that's necessarily going to be easy to accomplish. Once we start to get so this simple meal here is only meat. Once we start to get vegetables, I will make better meals that incorporate vegetables for fine meals and the like. And a pet tusk? She's already left. Tusky, come back. How dare her? How dare she leave me? Come on, girl. I have to pet you. Summon. Hi, good girl. Just stay there. Oh, hi, Echo. You want pets too? Up on up. I'll pet you. Give me your paw. Thank you. She's not going to stay. She never does. This is the longest she's ever stayed. I think because she knows that she did some sort of command and she's demanding reward for said command. And then she'll leave. And she's gone. All right, let's do some assignments here. So Taliesin is going to be on no drugs because he doesn't like drugs. And then I'm going to do a new policy, scheduled drugs. And these scheduled drugs for the moment aren't going to include anything. So they're going to be the same as no drugs. These scheduled drugs are stuff that I'm going to schedule only when we have drugs available to give out. And then Oriana is our doctor. Unfortunately, our one-eyed doctor, but that's something I'm going to fix. And then the meals here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Currently, we are just going to eat simple and lavish meals. So we'll call it available meals. And then the outfits, I'm just going to say 51 plus, so we don't wear tattered. And no, actually, tainted apparel is fine because we have two people that are bloodlust. Cillian, thanks for the bits. Here, Yoda. I'll feed you while I pet you. And Jordan for the posture check. Oh, don't fall. In order to get... So, the only other issue is no one really has the skill to give Oriana an eye. But I will be looking to recruit soon. And I'm sure the storyteller will send me the possibility of recruits pretty quickly. They generally do. Alright, so stone cutting is almost done. And I'm going to propose next research, which will be one of these three things. It will either be complex clothing, complex furniture, or smithing. So, your choice. We now have 3 out of 20 anima grass. Whoa, Bernona, you are really... Where were you? You were hunting very far away. Looks like you injured it. Yeah, you killed it. You just haven't gotten credit yet. So to go over all of the research benefits, just so that you all can assess, smithing would introduce simple helmets, breach axes, gladius, ikla, maces, a fueled smithy, allow me to put down steel, silver, and gold tile. Complex furniture opens up beds, chairs, chests, armchairs, steelies, sarcophagus, poker and billiards, tool cabinets, vents, shelves. And then complex clothing allows, you know, all the clothing that people would demand for their social ranks. All right, Adriel, you are currently idle. How is there not things to sew here? All right, Adriel and Oriana, guess what? Tree time. Go have fun. Getting rid of the enemies that... So there's no concept of like the opposite of venerated, like kill these specific animals. So it's a really neat idea and I like it, but it just doesn't exist. Unfortunately, my research is getting real wet. Who's my secondary? So, Oriana, I'm going to actually send you to mine stuff instead of the prey schedule. Now, another thing is that there are diminishing returns on how long you can pray in a given day. And currently, the schedule that we have running is probably going to butt up against the diminishing returns. So that's important to note. I'm also not going to assign any of these specialty roles until we have complex clothing. Because until we have complex clothing, we really don't have any way to fulfill the desires that those people will have for those specific roles. So this is the very start of my eventual complete fire break just for the grass itself. This will be a considerable amount of... what's behind there? Poplar tree. This will be a considerable amount of steel, given that it is hex tile, but I think it will look pretty cool. All right, stone cutting is now done, and you guys say smithing is next. That's lopsided. All right, there we go. What is venerated? So Arctic wolves are venerated. I wanted actually to make it a little bit easier. I wanted to pick a creature that doesn't commonly exist in the biome that I'm in, so that I don't have to regularly kill it or anything like that. Will we go seeking out ancient dangers? Oh, absolutely. We are transhumanists after all, and the ancient dangers are full of body parts that would benefit us. That's probably something I'm going to do pretty early on, in fact. I just wanted to get the, you know, sort of the basics squared away. All right, so the hex tile fire breaks. Oriana with her miserably bad mining. Plasteel sporks. And we did also get stonecutter, so I am going to build one of those. And then de-roof the area to allow some sunlight to come through. so we can see what we're doing. Update the objective. Yeah, sorry about that. Basic colony. I always forget to do that, but I appreciate when people warn me. It was fun watching you last night, Tacos. Your interesting mix of ranching and cannibalism. Big old struggle bus there, but fun to watch. The struggle buses are always the most fun to watch anyway, right? Struggle bus. It's a colloquial term for the enjoyment of watching people struggle at a task. Because it's difficult. Alright, Brenona. What I'm going to do is actually... No, not yet. So, the worry about hitting an Ancient Danger too early is there is a small possibility, but a non-zero possibility, that the occupant of the Ancient Danger, if we even have an Ancient Danger on this tile, is a aggressive centipede, which would be very, very, very difficult. Okay, there is an Ancient Danger here. It would be very difficult for us to deal with. So, Travelers desire charity. I'm going to have you all vote on this. They want 11 herbal medicine, and I'm giving it to Kruger. Do we offer charity? Yes or no? Up to you. So what I'm doing right now is just claiming all of the ruins. One of the advantages of claiming the ruins, like I am, is when we get raids, the raiders won't really know what to attack because our base is everywhere. And what will end up happening is they will specifically target the random ruins and not come directly towards us. So this is one of the reasons why I like to claim everything, but definitely make sure that you have auto homing off so that not literally everything becomes your home zone. And another thing I'm going to need to do is zoom in and change these beds to slave beds so that we don't sleep there for any reason, because they are technically beds that we could sleep on. Alright, and now that I've done that, let me take a look at my home zone and add this to the home zone. Subtract a whole lot of that. And I will trim around here as well. This almost looks like a grow light radius. It's not quite, but it's close. So will or will we not offer charity? Because we're in a boreal forest, we do get wild heal root to spawn naturally. So it is not something that is necessarily all that limited. It does require a considerable amount of time to go harvest it ourselves, but that's totally fine. Tail, you are one of their constructors, so I'm gonna pull Tail off of prayer duty. Get him to help with the hex tiles. And then Oriana is still mining. Oh, more grass. 8 out of 20. Okay, I am going to need a little bit more food. I am down to 46 pem. So, Bernona, get hunting. And Aoife, I'm going to have you, although it's not really your responsibility, quickly rearrange the room a bit. And then I am also going to set up let's do a batch fine meals. I'm going to set up batch fine meals to be made as well, up to 8. The reason 8, I don't want to make too many, because if I make too many, it will spoil before we eat them. So I'm trying to keep the ingredients as fresh as possible. And Bernona, you better not pull caribou to us. Adriel, let's offer medicine to Kruger. That seems to be where we want to go. One of the beautiful things about you all voting that we are neutral chaotic is being neutral. We could really just vote however we want to vote. We're not constrained necessarily one way or another. So we can vote to be good or bad in any given scenario, whatever benefits us most. So these benefits, these beggars have been gifted stuff. But of course, we don't have any sort of concept of desired charity. So we don't benefit from being charitable. And I'm not entirely sure that there's any real benefit to doing that other than to lower your own wealth, if that's a benefit that you could even mention at all. All right, tail. Let's get the stonecutter table built. Now we have a stonecutter. And go back to hex tiles. I like the design of hex tiles. Obviously, it would be a lot cheaper if I went with stone-based tiles rather than steel-based tiles, but aesthetics matter. Especially the aesthetics of people that sit at a tree all day, because they're going to want keeper-styled surroundings around them. So there's a huge benefit to having these hex tiles, which are our own styled, structures, because we get a +5. Because we are both techist and totemic. It's not charity if you benefit, Tipsy? Yes. No, I agree. Although, I will say, in reality, even if you don't benefit, if it makes you feel better, that is still a benefit anyway. Right? Technically. Oh, foods. So this should allow for 5 meals as well. And now we have better meal sources. And we are finishing or continuing the smithy research. Bernona's going after yet another caribou who has trapped itself in a bay. The way I've built around the trees is impressive. Well, I have to leave them alone, or I get massive penalties. So it's a mix of required and desired. I'm also going to headhunt for some heal root now that our heal root's down to 13. That might not be enough if plague was to strike. Wow, Bernona, I really need to get you a better bow, girl. If you ever want to take part in the polls that help to determine the series, Discord is definitely a suggestion that I would make for you. Because a lot of these are just flash polls that go up for mere hours. And if you're not on Discord with the either RimWorld or Twitch self-assigned role, it will be hard for you to catch the polls before they're gone. It's possible, of course, because I do put it in the announcements on Discord and sometimes on Patreon and my website, but understandably, it's difficult to catch. How do you approach apparel requirement? I'm not sure about it. So, the apparels aren't requirements so much as preferences, and it really depends if you're min-maxing or role-playing. If you're min-maxing, having, like I did here, having a button-down shirt requirement or a strong preference is obviously very powerful, because most of the time when you wear armor, you're still going to wear a button-down shirt. So it's a way to fulfill the preference and also wear armor. But there's, if we take a look at the other, well, no one else has preferred apparel in the other factions. I just, here we go. For Krishna, for instance, if they want to wear helmets, they basically don't get their preferred apparel. So if we wear armor, it's no big deal, because we will still have some of our preferences fulfilled. Okay, so you've gone from 3 to 4 mining. And I am going to go open up the suggestion box at this point and take a handful of suggestions from you guys about what sort of priorities I should focus up on. Whether it would be to have someone be a secondary researcher or to expand farming, do more hunting, etc., etc. Just keep it within scope and reason of the limitations that we have for being early on and all that. Yeah, she's starting to get better yields. Yeah, keeper style surroundings. Another thing I could do here for Aoife is keeper style surroundings as well, so that, you know, we can be a little bit happier in our base. So something I could do is cutting sandstone blocks, where we drop them on the floor and do totemic styled sandstone for the base. Thank you for watching the Keepers of the Gauranlen Grove, which originally aired live on Twitch. If you have any feedback for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams, as well as links to Discord where you can sign up for announcements, and Twitch where you can follow or subscribe. Thank you so very much for watching. I will catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell.